Yay! Here we are again. How many weeks is this? 6 weeks, is it? 6, goodness me. Well, it's a special day. Hello. My camera seems to have got. Oh, there we are. Excellent. Well, good afternoon, Paul.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
It only seems a week ago that we were talking like this.
Yeah, it really does. Of course, this week is a very special week, as we know, because this is the week that finally our album has its official release date. It's not going to digital until May the 1st, and I've been taking pre-orders all week, but How High is now available. There it is.
Cause for celebration. Cheers.
And so it's a party. There we go. It's a party. It's the launch party of How High.
Self-isolating launch party. How's that work?
Just to prove that we're in the party mood.
Cheers, Tim. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Cheers. And we'd like to say, hola mundo. Bonjour le monde. Ciao mondo. Hello Welt. And any other language that I can't pronounce.
Japanese. How about Japanese? You're good fans in Japan.
Oh, goodness me. Arigato gozaimasu, which, as far as I remember, means thank you so much.
Well, there you go. That's excellent. Hey.
I think I'm gonna let you start off this week's musical festival.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about the album coming out now, and it's just been breaking through the waves now, and then for a full launch next month. But there are like 150 copies available now. Or something.
That will be now down to I think 133.
Okay.
But there's still plenty to go round. And I was just thinking a little while ago how lucky we were, given the state of the affairs with this dreadful pandemic, that we were able to finish it in time, because everything is a matter of timing, and
for sure
we got it complete and everything's done.
With about 10 days to go, I think, at the time, wasn't it? So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a little sort of solo version of one of the tracks, which is a song I wrote a long time ago, and it's called Rock Man. And it started off with like being the rock and roll man. And then I thought, this would be a good context in which to have a pop at dictators and people who like abuse societies and take them over and so on. So this is kind of what this is about. So. You're gonna know when I come. Oh, gonna know when I come. When I come. I'll be together when I come. I'll be together when I come. When I come. Yes, when I come. I'm a rock man. I'm a rock man. You're all gonna know me when I come. Whoa, 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 whoa. We let loose the animals wanna come. There are no more street life when I come. When I come. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm a rock man. I'm a rock man. And you're all gonna know me when I come. You're gonna know me. All gonna know me. All gonna know me when I come. Set free the anarchist when I come. There'll be no more government when I come. When I come. Yes, when I come. I'm a rock man. I'm a rock man. You're all gonna know me when I come. You're all gonna know me when I come.
Oh yeah, excellent
Thank you.
stuff. Of course, I know the song very well, but it does occur to me that it sounds very good in kind of a Dylan-esque incarnation as well. It does. It has, because it has a bit of bite to it, and you know, and a kind of a, it has a kind of a rustic quality when it's played just with the acoustic guitar that really suits. I like that. That's
yeah. Well, that's cool. That's very nice.
Yeah,
thank you, Tim. That's so. Anyway, on the album, it's got the full band and whole, and wonderful sax playing by our really good friend Charlotte Glasson. So you got to listen. You got to just listen to this album just for her wonderful playing, the sax, clarinet, and the fiddle, and so on. So.
I mean, I'm too far away from the phone to see all of the names here, but just hello everybody who's joining. I can't, as I say, I can't read terribly well, but welcome to everybody.
I have been able to read very well, have you? Well, this must be the school we went to.
It probably was. I think this is going to be, we probably won't do another one of these next week, but we have a plan. And we have a plan to work while we're in lockdown. And what we're going to try and do is create a recorded version of our next few songs that we will be doing live with the band when we're finally let out. And so we're going to do we're going to use our players, our band, and we're going to get everybody to record a piece of some new material, and then we'll share it with you on Instagram. In fact, we may even be able to do it. I don't think we'll be able to do it live, but we'll be able to share it in the week and then maybe start up these live sessions again when we're done with it. And in fact, the first one we're going to try was we're going to try a version of If I Were a Carpenter. Now, Paul sang that last week, and there is a connection, though, because it was a track that Smile used to do in the early days. So that's our next project. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And of course,
so maybe
buy the album.
Particularly the band members, stay tuned. So Paul White on drums and Steve Kemp King on bass and Charlotte Glasson on every other instrument. We're coming at you.
Okay, well, I'm going to have a track now.
Tim, what are you going to
play? One of the tunes on the album. Somebody said something. I won't do the whole song. It drones on for hours. But somebody said something very interesting the other day, which was that they felt that this song had an affinity with Bruce Springsteen, and which I hadn't picked up on, but it keeps going through my head now, and I think it's probably right, because it's a kind of it's kind of an American urban myth, and I've done this kind of thing before. On the Amigo album, I did a track called Just Couldn't Say, which was a strange narrative about a guy in his car following his girlfriend, who was dressed in a white tuxedo, down to some rendezvous which he knew nothing about, only to see her crash over a bridge into a river.
Oh, man.
You'll have to buy Amigo to find out how that one ends.
That's a happy little tune, that one.
Yeah, but this one has a happy ending. I won't get as far as the ending, but believe me, it does. It starts off rather miserably, and but it ends. It's happy ever after song. This I have a go. This is called The Vow. Thanks, folks.
Mm.
They came out west in the beat-up Chevy. The roof was leaking and the tires were lean. They never made it out as far as Tucson. They bought a semi down in Abilene. Settled down and tried to start a family. Tended bar and he pumped gasoline. For they said it was an ideal romance. Shows you can't believe a thing you've seen. They made a vow. She broke it anyhow. He knew he could not trust her anymore. When she'd gone, he put the Eagles on and wondered what the hell he was living for. She went back east and she had the baby, with some concern for what she'd put him through. But before long regret had turned to sorrow. She made a bed and had to lie down too. Meanwhile he made his way to Brownsville. He crossed the border down to Mexico. Lost his job and took up heavy drinking. Pretty soon he had no place to go. They made a vow. She broke it anyhow. Never into the past, just like he feared. Oh yeah. With what he knew, he just could not go through. And like a ghost, he slowly disappeared. The years went by, she spent in hopeless searching. She almost caught him down in Monterey. And with her daughter crossed back into Texas, she said he'll find him, honey, come what may. And then by chance, and you can call it lucky, somebody stole him in a small cafe. Then she could see his sorrow. She longed to wipe those memories away. She made a vow. She broke it anyhow. Could not tell but just like he feared. And with what he knew, he just could not go through. And like a ghost, he slowly disappeared. Ouch. There's more verses to that, but it hurts.
Q for sax solo from Show.
And that's called The Vow.
That's The Vow, and that's a beautiful song. Wow. It's a long song, but it's a good story.
Stranger, it's one of those songs that you wake up in the morning and there it is, fully formed. It came together in the night while you were dreaming somehow.
Yeah. Not many happen that way.
No,
I seem to remember Paul McCartney talked about Yesterday coming all in one go.
That was one of those, was it?
Yeah.
Well, if I could aspire to a song like that, my job would be done, I think.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Listen, Tim, I just wanted to talk about, because you mentioned last week that is it a good proportion of the money that's being paid for the albums is going to go straight to charity, to an NHS charity. And I was just looking at the details of that charity today. It's called NHS Charities Together.
That's the one.
So nhscharitietogether.co.uk.
Yep.
And it's a collection of all like 140 different charities who are all contributing to the NHS generally. And right now, of course, it's much more important than ever. It goes to support NHS workers, patients coming home. It's even down to food parcels taken in for particular kinds of people and so on. It's not a core NHS expenditure, right? That's government ability. For everything else around.
One has to remember, of course, with frontline NHS workers is that their families at home are suffering too. And the stress on a domestic unit caused by the devotion and the hard work that these guys put in it needs addressing, and we're going to give
in the UK the National Health Service are doing it, but around the world, as all our friends will know, from Brazil to Japan to China to the US, there are health workers working multiple hours a day to stave off the virus and to help people recover. Unfortunately, sometimes they can't, but it's a tough job. And
I'd quite like to shout out to Captain Tom Moore, who raised millions for the NHS. I mean, good on you, man. Excellent stuff.
100 years old. Well,
yes.
Chance would be a fine thing if we reached that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's great. So what I thought I'd do is another little track from the album, or at least part of one. Yeah. This is a song that I wrote a little while ago with our good friend Rob Tolshard. He initiated it, actually, and wrote most of the lyrics, which are really interesting and fun. And it's called Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Here we go.
I want to hear it.
I was standing on the corner with a doobie in my hand when I heard somebody on. That's the man, that's the man. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wrong time.
She picked the wrong face.
Wrong place.
She pulled me out of the line. There was a flash and I was pictured. They put a number on my chest. Then I heard they found some favorites on my bed. I was in the wrong place, in the wrong time.
Oh yeah.
She picked the wrong face.
Wrong face.
She pulled me out of the line. I can't get the man on the stand as an alibi. He don't even know my name. I can't plead the fifth. They'll think it's a pack of lies. Place me right on the frame. Yeah. I only get a single phone call. You know they want me to confess. I'm gonna be here for the long haul. What a mess. I was in the wrong place.
Wrong place.
At the wrong time.
Wrong time.
She picked the wrong face.
Wrong face.
She pulled me out of the line. She pulled me out of the line. It was the wrong place at the wrong time. Here I am in jail, doing time. I'm doing time. 5 to 9.
He's doing time.
I wanna go home. Wrong place, wrong time. I want to go home.
Oh yeah. Great stuff, Paul.
I like backing vocals, Tim. That's great.
Yes, we're completely out of sync, but never mind. Interestingly, maybe people don't know this. I was again prompted to think how good it sounds as a solo piece. Maybe people don't know that we do go out as a duo as well. So occasionally we don't have our rhythm section. We don't have anybody else. We are just, I'm usually playing like a Telecaster. You're playing your Martin, and we're doing close harmony work. Pretty much the same songs. We do covers. We do some other people's work as well. But we don't always go out as an electric band. The electric band is on the album. But we do also work as a duo.
Yeah, there's some stuff on SoundCloud, right? Remember?
Yeah, some of the older stuff is on SoundCloud, I think.
Is that under Little Steam?
I believe it is.
Okay. If you look up SoundCloud, Little Steam, you'll see our two pretty faces singing along.
I wouldn't go that far, because of course I think I documented this on the text that I put with the Instagram post for today. Earlier this morning, I mentioned Big Steam, which had evolved out of the others, the latter day others,
the late great,
and when we started to go out as a duo, we called ourselves Little Steam because it was the diminutive of Big Steam, and we started like that. And in the end, the Big Steam ran out of steam. So there was not much point in calling it Little Steam anymore. So we reverted to our own names.
Yeah, there we are. The end of the story.
It's funny how, isn't it funny how I still keep in touch with musicians from the old days. I know you do. And not only just keeping in touch. After I left Smile, I was with a band called Morgan for a period of time, which recorded a couple of albums in Italy. And the drummer from Morgan, and Morgan was three of the guys who had been in the Love Affair, and but the material was very different. It was prog rock in
Morgan.
In the purest sense of the word. It was a keyboard synthesizer bass band, 4-piece, and the drummer was a guy called Maurice Bacon, who to this day is still in the music business. He has record companies. He is a manager. He manages Kula Shaker. He manages, I believe, the Medieval Babes, or if he doesn't now, he used to.
Doesn't he run that festival in?
He runs this festival every year.
Okay, I know what you're saying with this.
Which is a medieval joust, the Loxwood Joust, and it takes place over, I think, 1 or 2 weekends in late summer. And just last year, he added to it a third festival, which was called the Jazz, Gin and Blues Festival. At the time, and asked me if I would care to try my hand at writing a signature tune for the festival. I notice there's someone at the door. The dog is barking. If you hear it, don't worry. It's the niceties of domestic life. It's a parcel, I'm sure. But I'm going to have a crack at a couple of verses of Jazz, Gin and Blues, which is the song I wrote for Maurice, which he liked very much. It's on the album, and shamelessly promoting the album. And this is basically an attempt to write a Dixieland blues jug band type of song. If you buy the album, Charlotte plays some mean clarinet on it, and it sounds very good indeed. This is called Jazz, Gin and Blues. In the evening when the sun goes down, take myself to the other side of town. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues. Got down on my knees to pray, hadn't anything to eat all day. Mama says I'll be wasting away, but she don't know what I know. In the evening when the sun goes down, take myself to the other side of town. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues. Met a Lucy by the railroad track. She said, I'm leaving and I ain't coming back. Takes some lazy and she calls me slack, but she don't know what I know. It's in the evening when the sun goes down, take myself to the other side of town. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues. Was a time when I held down a job, little money and a dead horse to flog. Boss said I'll be high on the hog, but he don't know what I know. Mississippi is a mean old gal, got to cross her and I know darn well. From Pascagoula to the wishing well, they all know what I know. 'Cause in the evening when the sun goes down, take myself to the other side of town. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues. In the evening when the sun goes down, take myself to the other side of town. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues. Give me some of that jazz, gin and blues.
Hey.
There you go.
All right.
Jazz, gin and blues.
Well, it's only been possible to give a little taste of what the album's going to be like, but I seem to remember all that work we put in. There are 14 tracks on that album, right?
Mm.
Talk about value.
Talk about value for money. And two of those tracks, of course, were recorded live at the Brunswick in Hove.
Yeah. Great venue.
Which I want to just make a one of the connections that we have with the Brunswick in Hove is that my son David has an escape room which he runs above the pub, which is very successful. It's called Judgment Dave. He and his partner run this escape room. Now, the escape room industry has been hit very hard by the pandemic because it's a publicly supported and public attended event, a situation which of course cannot continue. So I'd just like to shout out to David, who has, with his partner, has spent the last 6 weeks working on an online escape game.
Great.
Which we're really hoping will take off in a big way. The continuity narrative relates to their 2 escape rooms, and I wish them the very, very best with it.
Yeah, and all people in the same position, right? I mean,
and everybody who's in that position, whose business has suffered so badly, I just wish for you that everything bounces back and prosperity is once again
restored.
Restored.
Well, you know, there's an upside and a downside to this period. I mean, I suppose the upside is that some of us have a little more time to do stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people are doing online training and self-education and stuff like that. And, you know, music, even learning music, and people who are going to, and so on. So where those things can be done online, it looks like that's a big win for people, generally speaking. We've already talked about, you know, restaurants and cafes and pubs and so on, where people just can't go.
Yes,
I have a feeling when the unlocking starts, that the first things to start unlocking will be those places where people can gather, probably at a distance.
Yes,
Maybe parks will be able to open, but only their al fresco outside, you know, areas and stuff like that.
I'm sure that's absolutely true. I mean, the other thing about this period of time is, and I don't know if anybody else is finding this, is that throughout most of my life, and especially my working life, which admittedly hasn't really been, I haven't been that busy since I retired, but during my working life, what would happen is I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have a priority list of things to do for that day. Inevitably, during the course of the day, other priorities would inveigle their way in and shift other priorities out, or at least shift them down the list, so that you'd get to the end of the day, some of the priorities had been dealt with, others had taken their place, and others had got shunted onto the next day, and one developed one's workload accordingly. One thing that's happened with the last 2 or 3 weeks is that I've finished all of my priorities.
No more priorities. Oh, my God.
Well, in fact, what I'm doing is, if I've got something to do, I've got a guitar project on the go, but I don't want to do it all at once, because if I do, what am I going to do tomorrow?
But also, I think what you're saying is, it's important to have things to do, projects to get on with. And, you know, I mean, I found just early on in this period that kind of floating around, not doing very much, is an awfully appealing thing to do. But actually, it's good to make a list of things to do, get on and do them.
No, absolutely.
And it makes you feel much more satisfied. So,
and to reiterate, refer back to what we were saying earlier, is that our next project, if we're going to take a slight break from these weekly sessions, but they're not going forever, they'll be back. But we're going to be working on a recording of If I Were a Carpenter.
Yeah, and other tracks too. Yeah.
And other tracks too, but the first one is going, because it has a historical significance, we're going to be working on If I Were a Carpenter. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. And don't forget, today is the launch of How High.
Yep.
I'm sorry that I'm so shamelessly plugging this.
I had not noticed, Tim.
Please order a copy. Half of the proceeds are going to the National Health Together charities. And we look forward to seeing you again when we resume our live concerts in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So
thank you for coming to see us.
Thank you for coming to see us. It is party day. Indeed. Hang on. One more. There we go.
Cheers.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yes, keep safe.
Keep safe.
Look after yourselves and your families and your friends.
Bake bread. It's a great thing to do.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.